Today from the global lane. 30 years after the fall of the Berlin Wall, hopes dashed in Germany. Middle East migrant wave, Germans flee for Hungary. Time to bring back a wall? 70% of American millennials say they may vote socialist. Some hard lessons from the Venezuelan experience. African Americans and impeachment. Trump's secret supporters. Europe's hypocritical action against Israel. Throwback to the Nazi yellow stars. And it's all right here on the global lane. 30 years have passed since the Berlin Wall came down. I was there. It was a historic time as 3 million Germans, mostly from East Berlin and other cities behind the German Iron Curtain, poured into the West. Many expressed hope and optimism for the future, especially once their two countries reunited. Dale Hurd says the Germany of today is not what some had hoped for, and proof of that can be found in Hungary, just west of Budapest in a place called Lake Balaton.
So why are we doing a story about the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall from a lake in Hungary? Because this is where a lot of Germans have fled to who are fed up with Angela Merkel's New Germany. The Lake Balaton region is full of Germans who have moved here for all sorts of reasons. But a local real estate agent told us the biggest reason is migrant crime in Germany.
At the moment, our clients is 80% Germans. And the main reason is the immigration problem in Germany.
Agent Laszlo Kozma says the number of Germans moving to Lake Balaton spiked immediately after Chancellor Angela Merkel allowed over 1 million mostly Muslim asylum seekers into Germany, while Hungary turned them away. Of course, all of Germany is not crime-ridden. But this website lists more than 75,000 migrant crimes since 2015. German police recently discovered that 2 of the Syrian refugees it welcomed into the country used to run a prison in Damascus that tortured thousands of people. This is all part of the reason that less than half of East Germans say reunification has been a success, and polls show some would even like to rebuild the Berlin Wall.
It's getting worse than East Germany, because we didn't have this. We didn't have this murder. We didn't have the rapists.
But speaking out too forcefully about migrant violence will get you in trouble in Germany. German evangelist and author Heidi Mundt, herself a former East German, thought that International Women's Day would be a good time to speak about the danger of migrant crime to German women. Only the police prevented her from being attacked by West German leftists, who spat on her and called her obscene names. That's why some Germans call today's Germany East Germany 2.0, because just like in East Germany, certain ideas are enforced, either by society or the government, and those who deviate from political correctness could lose their jobs or even face criminal action by the state. Germany's crackdown on so-called online hate speech has even been copied by dictatorships. Famous German pastor Theo Lehmann was persecuted in the old East Germany and sees similarities to today's Germany.
It's extremely annoying that nowadays again you have to measure every word, because later someone could come and criticize it. That hurts any free discussion, and it's an incredible fear that is everywhere in society. Nobody dares to speak up anymore, because you're always in danger when you say something that is against the mainstream. You could be called a racist or a fascist without any discussion. These labels are put on you right away.
A German citizens group has been demonstrating in cities across Germany with what it calls lines of horror. Every piece of paper is a violent crime committed by a migrant. The leader, Robert Vogelmann, says he welcomes true refugees to Germany, but not criminals.
Yes, refugees welcome from war and people who need help, but no criminals. And our government don't control these people.
The Berlin Wall was a wall of oppression. But 30 years after it came down, increasing numbers of Germans are fleeing to a country with a wall that has made it much safer than Germany, Hungary.
Senior international correspondent Dale Hurd has just returned from Germany. He joins us now. Dale, most Germans are proud of their heritage, but why have they allowed this mass migration? It may change their country, or it already is.
Well, I think Merkel, they thought of themselves like Sweden as some sort of humanitarian superpower. They could, of course, take all these in, and they believe this ridiculous rhetoric, and I'm not exaggerating, that doctors and engineers were coming in with these refugees, not fighting-age males, some of whom, you know, were not educated, and many of whom had criminal records. It was a multicultural fantasy, and it's been a disaster.
Yeah, you know, I saw many of those when I was in Hungary that were coming in were young males. There weren't as many families as they wanted you to believe. Now, do you foresee a day when people of German heritage are actually leaving the country to the point where you only have people that are non-Germans and people who don't speak German living there and dominating the society?
Well, we just learned that the prediction in 20 years, 1/3 of Germany will be migrant background. That's a huge number. If that number voted as a bloc politically, that would be a major party in Germany, changing the whole trajectory of the country in terms of their relations with us and with other nations. So, you know, this is a Pandora's box. Merkel a few weeks ago admitted what she did has been a failure, but the full consequences of this, I think, are going to be extraordinarily bad.
Okay, when the camera is turned off and people are just talking to you privately off camera, what are they telling you? What are the Germans saying to you?
Well, they're not, you know, bridled by all the politically correct strictures, and they're saying that you know, it is not a stereotype that most of these migrants are dangerous, particularly the males. And but you know what? It doesn't matter what they say to me or anyone else. They go into a polling booth and they're voting for Alternative for Germany, which is really the only powerful right-wing party in Germany, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. Because you're either going to vote for AfD or you're going to do what the Germans in this story did and just leave the country.
So Merkel's days may be numbered. You'd said that she admitted that it was a failure, her migration policy.
Yeah.
So if it hasn't worked, what do they do?
You know, it wouldn't be too late if Germany today changed and became proud of its heritage, proud of its culture, said, we're a great nation, we're a great civilization, and if you want to live here, you're going to join it and not start your own little enclave, your own separate society. You're going to become a German. If they did that today, things would turn out great because, as you know, in this country, we welcome people from all over the world, and it's been wonderful. It's made this country stronger, but people come here to become Americans. Yes. They need to come to Germany and become Germans.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torresadillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices and watch God transform a generation.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he has, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
As the House impeachment inquiry goes public, a new Politico Morning Consult poll shows only 8% of Americans believe it is very likely that the Senate will actually remove Donald Trump from office. A combined 62% say it's either not too likely or not likely at all that Trump will be removed. And despite the Democrats' inquiry, most Americans say the congressional testimony is unlikely to change their minds about impeachment. So, what do African Americans think about all this? Tisha Powell is a lawyer, a conservative political pundit, and author of the book Trump Must Win. Discover the dark days Americans will face if Trump isn't reelected for office in November 2020. Tisha, it's great to have you here. So tell us, Senator Lindsey Graham warns House Democrats if the whistleblower is not called to testify publicly, then impeachment is dead on arrival in the Senate. Still, the Democrats are moving forward because they're convinced President Trump is guilty of impeachable offenses. So I know you're in touch with people outside the Beltway, especially where you live in Florida. So what are they telling you, especially black Americans? Do they believe this president should be impeached because of a Ukraine phone call?
No, absolutely not. And they know he won't be impeached, actually. They think that this is part of the Democrats don't really have any strong voice. You have Elizabeth Warren, who lied on her application to get into Harvard, and now she's proposing some $1 trillion taxes. And people don't want socialism. You know, Jamaicans a lot of blacks came to America to work. And they know that with President Trump, we're going to have jobs. They know with Elizabeth Warren that she's going to take jobs away. They know what socialism is, and they don't want it. So Elizabeth Warren telling us this is free, that is free. We all understand why it's free. It means we're not going to be able to work, and the government is going to take care of us. And not all of us want the government to take care of us because we read our Bibles and we don't think that socialism is fair. We think socialism is a sign of envy. God did not call his people to be envious of others. He called us to love, respect, and honor others. So we don't want the government telling us to be jealous of the 1% and that they will get the money from the 1% to give to us.
I know in your book, Trump Must Win, you say this, quote, blacks like myself and a lot of black pastors in the American community are backing Trump. But if they actually support this president, Tisha, I know that many aren't saying it publicly. Why not? And is record low black unemployment reason enough for them to vote for Trump?
Well, that's the good part about it. I'm not a pastor. They're afraid of losing their 501c. I mean, they've been threatened by the government a lot. The government is very scary. I got permanently suspended from Twitter for supporting Trump. And I'm now scared of the government. So you can imagine what a black pastor who's got to just feed, he's only calling it to feed the people of God. He can't lose his 501c. So as much as he wants to back Trump, he's got to be careful that, you know, Warren don't send people to nag his, I mean, the government is scary. They will destroy the churches for backing Trump. But I'm a lawyer and I'm a Christian, so I'm not subject to any 501c. So I'm going to talk about Trump as much as I can, because what are they going to do? Tell me I can't go to church anymore?
And you also talk about black division. What do you expect Donald Trump, a wealthy white man, can do to bring unity in the black community?
You know what? Just President Trump is being himself and providing the jobs. That's what black people really want. You know, black people, they're single moms, they're struggling to work, and President Trump is giving us jobs. This is what it's about. This is why we're backing Trump. President Trump is going to get a lot of the black votes. We're going to come out in droves for President Trump.
And I know you also discuss your Christian faith. You mention abortion, and you ask, I want to quote you here, why are people worried about a white cop taking the life of a black boy, but do not protest when white men take the lives of black babies through abortion? So does this suggest the life issue is unimportant to black voters?
That's unfortunately what I don't think happened. And I want to, you know, I guess I offend a lot of people, and I want to apologize in advance, because that was one of the things I got in trouble at Twitter for. I told people that black baby lives matter, all baby lives matter. And people told me that my babies are okay, leave them, that they could kill their babies. And I think that blacks don't understand that the Democratic Party would like to reduce the black race And one of the ways to reduce the black race is through abortions. And this has not been talked about a lot. This is just what the Democrats do. Abortion is a crime. It is killing a baby. If you read the Bible, it's inconsistent to the word of God. So even though the law says you can kill your child, you shouldn't kill your child because the Bible said not to do so.
Okay, finally, quickly, we're running out of time. I want a prediction from you. What percentage of the black vote do you think Donald Trump will get in 2020? He got 8% in 2016.
I would think 8% or more. And I'm just telling you, a lot of young blacks, they love President Trump. And for 4 years, they could see the growth in this economy. So they know for a fact this cannot be a racist president because we're doing good as black people under President Trump.
Okay, Tisha Powell, the book is Trump Must Win, Discover the Dark Days Americans Will Face if Trump isn't reelected for office in November 2020. Thank you for sharing those insights.
Thank you. God bless.
Too often we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5, Wednesday night at 9:30. Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com to get your copy today.
The presidential primary season will soon be here, and a new poll shows some astonishing trends in the voting preferences of young Americans. Polling for the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, YouGov found that 70% of millennials and 64% of Generation Zers say they'll likely vote for a socialist candidate. And 1 out of 5 millennials say they think the Communist Manifesto better guarantees freedom and equality than the U.S. Declaration of Independence. Astonishing. Joining us is someone who knows socialism well. He's Daniel DiMartino. He's from Venezuela, and he's a U.S. spokesperson for the political movement Vente Venezuela. Daniel, what did you think when you heard these poll results?
It was surprising, of course, but expected in the sense that it's similar to last year's. But it's really surprising that it's 70% of young people supporting a system like this, the one that I had to flee my country from. And it's something that definitely needs to change if we want to keep this nation free.
Okay, so what do American young people need to know about socialism as it's being practiced today in Venezuela? What don't they get?
They need to get that all these free things have a huge cost, and their cost is our freedom. In Venezuela, the cost was through shortages and high inflation. In the United States, with the programs that many in the democratic socialists are proposing, might be, less freedom of speech. It might be lower wages, more unemployment, and even higher inflation, depending on how they pay for these programs.
And you were a part of a political movement that isn't even allowed in Venezuela. Is that correct?
That's right. We're not an authorized political party by the government. We're the only free market political party in the country, so it's really not surprising that they don't want us to exist.
So tell us what else. What else do we need to know about communism and socialism and the way it oppresses people?
Yeah, one important thing here is that, and I think the reason for these poll results, these astonishingly terrible poll results, is that education needs to change in this country. It is not acceptable that 1 in 10 millennials or 1 in 10 also Gen Zers, people who are even younger than millennials, think that Donald Trump has committed more human rights violations than Hitler or Stalin. That is not acceptable. That means schools are not teaching about the Holocaust and are not teaching about the starvation in the Soviet Union, right? So schools need to teach that better. Families need to teach better their children about freedom, about patriotism, about God. Communism is the religion of state-imposed atheism. You cannot be a communist and follow God's teachings.
Well, I know you're just finishing up college right now. So what has your experience been at your university that you're attending?
Yeah, my experience, it's been that there's very few people who are actual socialists, who know what it is, who want to abolish private property, who want to destroy, basically everything that the United States is based upon, the freedom that the U.S. is based upon. I think that most of the people who are supporting this word, that is simply a word, socialism, they think it's just free things. So what I've been able to do is just discuss policy by policy. What do they support? Why do you think this policy would be good or bad? And if you go into the details, a lot less people really are socialists. They're just against the current status quo. So they need to be provided an alternative so that they don't become socialist.
Well, do they realize, those that you talk to, that there's no such thing as free stuff? That basically somebody has to pay. I'm thinking of some of the candidates that were saying, hey, free college tuition, this, that, or the other thing free. Taxpayers have to foot that bill, don't they? And that means young people when they get into the workforce.
The huge problem there is that they think the rich can pay for it. And so they need to be told a very basic fact. There is not enough money among the top 1% to pay for free healthcare, free college, and free housing, on free everything like the Democrats are proposing. There's simply not enough money to tax away from the rich to pay for those programs. And even if you were to tax them 100%, then if you do, then you just destroy the U.S. economy. So we have to find alternative ways to reduce costs. We have to propose bold free market alternatives to reduce costs if we want to challenge the socialists in America.
Daniel, what has your experience been? Do any of them that you talk to know about what's happening in Venezuela and why?
Most of them do not, unfortunately. And in fact, in the Victims of Communism poll, they also talked about that. Only half of Americans know what's going on in Venezuela. That's very low. And I think that if we spread the news of the reasons I had to flee my country, which were that the government took over the means of production, just like Karl Marx supports, just like socialists support. They gave free healthcare, free housing, free food, all of the things that the Democrats want to give here, or the most radical Democrats. I think that if more young Americans knew about what was going on in Venezuela and the policies that were implemented, they would be less likely to be socialist.
Well, education is the way to reverse the trend. Daniel, we appreciate you taking the time. Daniel DiMartino of Vente, Venezuela. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
From Washington, D.C., uncompromising stories, interviews, and analysis from veteran journalists David Brody.
Escalating fight.
Jenna Browder.
Chose his words carefully.
Ben Kennedy.
Plan to join him.
And Amber Strong.
For impeachment grows a little bit louder.
Bringing you the political news that matters.
We get out and tell the story of the progress that we're making in this country.
Watch Faith Nation, weeknights at 6 on the CBN News Channel.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
As the nations rage, you can stand with Israel.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
Call 1-800-700-7000 and get to life.
This is our nature as a country.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religion he has, which color he is, this is what I'm doing.
Support Israel in their time of need. Get to Life, now available on DVD. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
And I wish that other people throughout the world could see this side of Israel.
Rarely am I surprised by the hypocrisy of liberals. A recent EU ruling against the state of Israel is no exception. The European Union's Court of Justice has ruled that products made in Israeli settlements, which are actually communities, by the way, must be labeled as such. European Court of Justice President Kern Lehnert says the labeling must indicate, quote, the territory of origin or group of localities, creating an Israeli colony within that territory. EU spokesperson Mina Andreeva says the EU considers settlements and territories occupied by Israel illegal under international law. And she reminds us that still the EU and Israel are very close partners. Sure, with friends like this, who needs enemies?
The EU does not support any form of boycott or sanctions against Israel, and the EU rejects attempts by the campaigns of the so-called boycott, divestment, sanctions movement to isolate Israel.
Okay, great. Israel, you must label your products, but this is not support for the BDS movement. Got that? What is it then, EU? What's the next step? This? Remember the Nazi yellow stars of David? Maybe the EU should just demand Israel place those on each food product exported to Europe. Folks, this is just another slap at the Jewish state from the anti-Israel crowd in Europe. Not discriminatory, you say? Well, does the EU require that Christmas lights from China be labeled by which gulag or work camp they came from? How about the sweatshops where garments are made in Latin America or India? Or how about BD cigarettes? 20 years ago, I told you how young India kids were bonded, enslaved, and forced to roll them for export. Are labels required for those, indicating where they were rolled? Are people warned that forced child labor is involved? You get my point. The EU is requiring the labeling because it wants to support the Palestinians in their struggle. But this ruling may likely cost jobs of Arab laborers, those who are actually working the farms and the factories to provide the products for export. So the EU may actually be hurting the livelihood of the Palestinians they intend to help. And here's a warning to the European Union from the book of Numbers, verse 24:9. We're told, whoever blesses Israel will be blessed. Whoever curses Israel will be cursed. I think Europe, the United States, all of us could use more blessings, don't you? Well, that's it from the Global Lane. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Twitter. Until next time, be blessed.